It was the summer we were living in a dry cabin, my ex and I. It was up in Alaska, they're kind of common there. So we had modern appliances and electricity and everything, just no running water. It had seemed really romantic at the time. I had been living in Alaska for a winter, and he was coming up to live with me just for the summer. And I thought, we'll be hauling our own water, and we'll be chopping wood, and we'll be sitting in front of the fire, and it'll be so nice. It's actually kind of a drag to live without running water. You can't take showers, like proper hot showers. We have to wash our dishes in 2 buckets. And you always have to be thinking about where your water is coming from. And we just didn't have that kind of patience that summer. We'd been living apart for a year, and I thought we were gonna have a lot of time to get to know each other again. But we were working as kayak guides like 12 hours a day, and we had no days off. We were out paddling in the rain in like layer after layer of fleece and rain gear. And then we'd come home and we couldn't take a shower. We were both like sweaty and cold somehow. And we just didn't have the time to get to know each other again. So we were always in short supply of something. There was not ever enough tenderness, not ever enough time to be tender. And we were always exhausted. So we kind of had 2 options when it came to water. We could either fill up in town where we worked, but you could only get to that town at certain hours of the day. So if we forgot, we were out of luck. Or we could drive on to another town up the road. It was like a 15-minute drive along this really beautiful highway, but really dangerous. It's very narrow and winding. It's between like a mountain range, and then it shoots right down into the water. So we were making it go of it in our little red cabin. And then one day we were leaving work, and we had the same 2 options for getting gas as we did getting water. And we'd just been so distracted that we'd been driven in and out of town for like a week without filling up. So we left and realized halfway home we were totally out of gas. We couldn't get back to the town that we worked in. We couldn't get to Girdwood. We were just totally stuck. And luckily for us, someone we knew was driving by at that point. So they gave my boyfriend at the time a ride. Figured he would just go to town, and then he'd hitchhike back with the gas can full. He's gone, I go home, I'm bummed out. We'd actually gotten off work kind of early that day, and I thought we'd get to spend some time together. So I started making dinner, and then it seemed like immediately my phone rang, and he had made it. He'd filled up the gas can, he'd gotten a ride back, and on their way down the highway, the car in front of them flipped over. It had taken a turn too fast, and then the car in the opposite direction had slammed into it. And my boyfriend had watched the driver and the passenger die on impact. And I could hear in his voice how shocked he was, and how hurt and how scared. And I wanted to make up for everything, that we hadn't had the time this summer, that I hadn't been there for him, but I couldn't. And then I thought I could. So I ran out the door, and I ran out to the highway, and there's cars going by, and I thumb a ride. This young couple picks me up, and I tell them, I have to get to Anchorage. We go in that direction, but we're gonna hit an accident. And sure enough, we hit a line of cars. There's like 50 cars already piled up. And I get out and thank them, and I start to run down the side of the highway. And there's these mountains on my right and the sea on my left, and these people waiting, watching me run by them. They don't know what's happened. But I'm not thinking about any of that. I am totally electrified with purpose. Like, I'm so sure that I'm doing the right thing finally for this person that I love. And I get to the accident. There's the van flipped on its side. The windshield is shattered and the blood everywhere. And there's an EMT who must have no idea what I'm doing, but I seem so sure that he says, go ahead, it lets me through. And I call my boyfriend and I say, I'm here, I hitched a ride. And he sounds totally shocked. He's like, what are you talking about? You're not gonna make it through. And I said, no, I'm already here. And I walk up the line of cars, and as soon as I see him, I know that I've made a mistake. He is not happy to see me. It's like I'm trying to throw a bucket of water onto a plant that I've neglected all summer. Or trying to shower in our little dry cabin shower. We could hang a little bag of water from the ceiling, and then this hose would come through it, and it would go through a little propane tank, and then another little hose, and this faucet the size of a quarter, so that wherever the water hit you was scalding hot, and then everywhere else you were totally frozen. we just sat and waited for the traffic to clear in total silence, me and him and this couple. And finally it does, and they let us through, and we get home, and there's not dinner, because I didn't make it, and there's maybe enough water for a couple days or two. Thanks.